Hi, this is Doug Ward from Tech Britain. Today we're here with Dave Gormley from MobiPayPoint. Thanks for your time, Dave.
No worries.
I'm really excited to talk about MobiPayPoint. First of all, can we talk about your background, first of all?
Software engineer, telecommunications, line of sight, working with Verizon in the US for years and years, and came back to do something different, starting payments.
There we go.
So banking as well. I was Bank of Ireland staff manager, so I got out of that. Terribly boring.
So, I mean, this is the exact opposite to boring. How did you come across the idea and then?
It was for Formula One originally, and we thought we'd do a solution for Formula One, and it just was, I don't know the best way to explain it. Every time Formula One moves to a region for the next race, they have to set up accounts, set up bank accounts, set up terminals, set up everything, then give it to franchisees. It's a huge hassle to do that. Then they got to break down all the accounts, do all that kind of stuff. They needed a solution, something that would just work straight away. That was simple, cheap, you could drop it on the ground, wouldn't break, that kind of stuff. So I put this together, and then the guy went off to do gaming and gambling and stuff like that, and he's in Cyprus at the moment. So he does the banking for top 10 gaming companies in the world.
Right, wow.
3 left. Yeah. So I put this in a box and said, fuck it, yeah, never mind. I came back to it. So I did, I came back to it last September. Started it again, and it started to take off very, very well. Did all the patents, everything is in, everything's done. So yeah, it's working quite well.
It's a payment platform.
Yes.
That has just loads of cool technology, so people can. You've got an API
Yes.
where other developers can build on. I'd like to explain some of the different possibilities. Well, I mean, the platform in itself, we should say, it's got near payment.
Yeah. It's magstrip, chip pin, near field. There's a whole API, so you can actually. It's like as if Apple, put in this into all the iPhones. It said, go write an app, and we will do all the payments for you. Just write it, you're done. And that's what we do. We basically allow people to write apps or a web-based interface either. And you could do one for hotels, you could do one for restaurants, one for taxis, one for anything. And we do all the payments. So it's like what one of the bankers said, he called it chip and pin for PayPal. Because that's exactly what it is. It's an internet backend with chip and pin front end. So we have the security chip and pin with the ease of internet payments in the back end. And that was the key thing. So we broke the whole payment model that was 20 years old.
So you're talking like a waiter comes up to you, for example, I'm sat in a cafe, you're the waiter, talk our views.
Yeah,
like
no, I mean, all the waiter does is essentially, because the easiest thing, they call them edge customers, the banks call them edge customers, which would be they already have a merchant account, business account, all the rest of the stuff, but they have one terminal. That terminal is 35 to 57 euros or sterling, around about 42 sterling a month. Then there's other merchant fees on top of it. This thing is only 100 quid, and that's it, you don't have any other charges. Every time you use it, there's around about 19p of a charge, 25 euro cent, and then regular credit card charges you normally would have. So it means that the restaurant is not looking at these terms and saying, it's costing us money every day, we're not taking cards in it, or a few cards in it. So for the waiter, he will basically come up, everything's happy, yes, right, okay, I'll take payment here. He'll just swipe the card through, insert it in, put in the amount, and hand it to you. You put in your PIN on it. It says payment processing complete. You pull out your own card and you hand it back to the waiter. Now he can print out a receipt, he can send you an email receipt, an SMS receipt, whatever you want. But the thing is, he then puts it back in his pocket and he just clears off the table and off you go. So I mean, we talked to the Fitness Association, the chairman of that, and he said that's exactly what they want. So it's waterproof, it's drop proof. So when it's not, if you get beer in it, it doesn't matter. You just literally shake it and just and then give it a go again, and you're fine. So it's very, very cheap. It's very, very rugged, and you know what you can control the costs. The other thing, if you compare this to something like iZettle is a Swedish company who's now trying to come into the UK. They have a dongle that goes in the bottom of an iPhone, and theirs is full chip and pin, but you need a merchant account to do it. You don't need a merchant account for this. You buy it, take it out of the box, nothing. Within 5 minutes, you can be taking payments. And what you do is take it out of the box, you put in your chip and pin card, you put in your PIN, then you put in your bank details, and that's really where you want to settle it. Once you pull that card out, that's it, you put it back in your pocket. No one can change those details, and those details are stored in the server. So it means then you can give this out to all the guys who are around delivering pizza, and then when they come up to the house, they can go take the payment, you can take a near field or a regular chip and pin card or whatever they want to take. So it opens up the market. I mean, the aviation industry wants it. There's mobile network operators now want it. We have 2 banks, Silicon Valley Bank is one, who want to take it across the globe. They want to do the US. We have another bank that also wants to do it. And they're going to essentially put it into all of their business customers out there. So we don't have to, they all want to brand it, is there a thing? They want to put their name on it.
Sure.
And that sort of thing. But it's a different way of looking at payments, and it's unique, and that's why the patents are there and everything else is there.
So you're saying that again off camera that this is encrypted.
Yes.
And it's got the technology inside it. So what was the interaction with that you were speaking about?
Yeah. In other words, the whole thing with the technology is we didn't want to get caught in the same way that Verifone had a problem. Verifone's one had a problem. Verifone went and broke Square, and they put an app up on the iPhone store that allowed you to download it on there, and every time you swiped the card through with Square, it recorded and saved that credit card information and fired off the database. So he did that for a while. Then he did an op-ed piece in the New York Times saying he broke Square, blah blah blah. We don't want to be open to that sort of attack, so we're using a chipset that encrypts the hardware level. So when you swipe a card through here, it's actually encrypting the hardware. So if you even try to break this open, it automatically deletes everything, the chip. It's private public key encrypted. Each term has a unique private public key. It's up in the server with the private key. There's no way of getting in and breaking and getting at this and finding any information. Once a payment is complete, it's a piece of plastic. It just goes to sleep again. There's no credit card information held there. It just acts as a conduit and also as an interface for users to interact with it. And then when you go to pay, it's literally chip and pin with PayPal. And that's what the banker was saying. He says, I do pay now button, I pay now button. And that gets sent to our API and server. And then the server talks back to here telling us what screens to display. And it just displays them. It asks you to swipe the card down, insert the card, to put in the amount, put in the amount. Asks you to give you the PIN, hand over the PIN, processing complete, and that's it. So it's the server controlling the terminal, it's not the terminal itself, which is a completely different model. Every terminal you have out there, not anywhere. They're ugly, in other words, if you want to update them, you have to get to that terminal. We don't have to do that with this, because the intelligence is on the server side, it's not here. It's still like a 1 gigahertz dual core smartphone on the front end, but it's a hardened OS, Android OS, and it's a bespoke piece of kit. We didn't do an Apple iPhone. We actually had an Apple iPhone dongle for it, right? But we said no, I'm not going to do it because an iPhone is in a contract. If you guys are delivering pizza, you can't give them 6 contract iPhones. It's just not going to work. But you will give them something that only costs £100, and it's drop proof. There's tracking on it, so you can actually pull up a website. You have there's a number actually in the back of each terminal, so you can actually see where each of your guys are every 15 seconds updated.
So I've got to ask you, whereabouts are you originally from?
Blackrock outside Dundalk, in Ireland. I'd say half my life spent in the States and half here.
So with us, obviously based in Newry, you're based in the company in Newry.
Oh, I am, yeah.
Yeah, I mean where did that decision come from?
No, I went to Enterprise Ireland originally, and Enterprise Ireland said, we don't see a market for this. A number of VCs have looked at this and go, we don't see a market for this. They were wrong, big time, because we've had everybody from Vodafone, Intel, everybody else. So, we came up here because they said no. We said, fine, whatever. And we literally moved 15 miles up the road and said, hey, how you doing? And I were great, Invest and I were great. So that's why we're here.
And you're working out of Emerald Valley
too.
So what was your decision there? Why didn't you just go for like a normal office in the local town? Or
and we started off and then we just said we need to actually come up with, you actually need to be talking to people, and you need other tech companies, and you need bounce ideas off each other. And at the end of the day, I'd like to be investing in the same type of guys who are actually in the same office.
In terms of like the government, we have to ask, what's your thoughts on the government's role to play in the tech community?
I think the government help you to a certain point, but they can't help you any further because they're not cogent, they don't, it's not they don't get it, they don't get it fast enough. They don't cop on fast enough, and you can't expect them to. Be honest, they'd be doing what we'd be doing if they did. They do what they do, and you have to go along at their pace. I mean, we've got good assistance from eSynergy up in actually Belfast, and we're also based in London, for prototype development, for market research. We got great help from Invest NI, and I mean, there's employment grants and all the rest of the kind of stuff that you can do. So they do what's in their remit. You can't ask them to go out any further than that, because they just, it's outside their zone. So you just have to know what that is, stick to your own stuff, and get as much usage as you can get out of them as you can.
Well, awesome. In terms of Newry's tech community for the future, what do you see there? People who perhaps not been here before and they're thinking, I'm hearing all this exciting news about Newry, I've got to consider it for my business.
It's in between Belfast and Dublin, so you can zip. I'm up and down constantly. I literally spend my entire day going in my car. You can get anywhere. I mean, I've a meeting down in Dublin tomorrow morning, and then I can go to myself, right, great, I know I can fly back to Belfast and meet somebody else, or I can meet somebody in Newry. And it's just 3 spots. I do branch off a little bit further down to Limerick to see some other investors down there, but to be honest, because the highway is just there, set the car at 80 down, and it doesn't take you long at all to get down there. You know, and it's a nice working environment, to be honest. It really is. The people are very self-effacing here. You know, I don't know if you ever heard that term, what about you? What about you is a term that you'll hear in the north, you know, and that's and it is. It's hey, what about you? How are you doing? You know, kind of, and that's the whole attitude of it. It's key, the communications between hubs or centres of technology to other hubs and centres.
Right, so thank you for your time.
No worries.
It's been a real
No
pleasure.
worries. All right, thanks so much. Cheers thanks.